So back in 2020, it was February 2020 is when I had the opportunity to meet our late president, Mr. Benjamin Mkapa. And by the time I was working with a publishing house, which was responsible for publishing his autobiography, like the book that told up his story of his life. And I was in the marketing department. So I was responsible for like the marketing of the book and everything else. And then how we met was because we were supposed to host a book signing event in Mwanza. So we had like a book launch in there. And because the book was more of like a presidential release, and then just having one event in one city, it was kind of like unfair to the sub-regions. So we managed to arrange another like book signing event in Mwanza, so as to like diversify the events that were held around the book, so as to reach like more regions of the country. So when we went in Mwanza is when I had the chance to like meet him face to face and like have a conversation and all that. So before that, like when we were in there, like all that, like most communications were just like done through his PA and like other people from our office. Like it was just like that, like managerial level kinda. But when you were in Mwanza, it was more of like a one-to-one. So here's where I got like my experience kind of stuff. Yeah. So we went there and we met, had like a meeting of like, the meeting was like 2 hours to 3. And I can say like that one interaction kind of like changed my perception on like a lot of things, which is why I'm sharing this story, because like it was kind of like a mind-blowing experience, I would say. So yeah, that's the backstory on how we met and why we met. So the meeting in Mwanza was arranged by his personal assistant at the moment, who was Mr. Makoche Tembele, who is currently the ambassador of Tanzania in Indonesia. So my personal thought on late Mr. President is that I think he is my favorite amongst all those that we have, and I had liked him before like I met him, and I liked him for a number of reasons. And I don't know, I think I've read a lot of his writing, and that there's something about his personality that's just like pleasing. Also, I think like his governance was more of like, I don't know, I was not an adult by then, but I kind of like liked what was happening. There's something like, okay, from what I'm learning about his governance right now, like I just like his governance more, even though at the time I could not like conceptualize what was going on. I hope that makes sense. Also, I kind of like feel privileged because like I had the opportunity to read his book before it was released, you know, like I feel like VIP access and I think it's weird, I know. Anyway, so I'm going to share like a few lessons that I've learned from the interactions that I've had with him, and I hope they're useful to you as well, because I think they're kind of like not mind blowing, but they're kind of like, they reframe your mindset around certain things. Yeah. So the first lesson that I've learned is that it's useful to be a good listener. Like there is much to learn from like listening than talking, you know. And I think I say this because at first when I knew that we were going to meet the president, I was more like, hey, he's the president and we're just like peasants here. We just go there kuchukua like maagizo, you know, like that was my perception with like having a meeting with the president. Just like you go there, you take maagizo and you do what you're told. Like you have no say. But we got there, he was like very friendly, like, hey, tell me, like, this is your field, you know, like, I was like, okay, like, he actually cares what we know, like, I tell my people, fanyisha, like, everything. But the fact that he kind of like accepts the idea that I may not know everything, and these people are specialists in this field, so I have to hear what they say on this field, you know. I felt special, by the way. But yeah, I just like learned that even if the lesson was that like if someone with such much power, and the book was his, like he had full control over it, like he would have decided anything he wanted for us to do and we would have done it. But he did not choose to go down that path. He chose like, I'll listen what you guys have to say because you guys are the specialists in this field. And yeah, I kind of like said like you really have to be like a good listener so as to like learn things in life, you know, no matter what place you are in. There's a lot to learn, you know, like just listen to other people because like everyone is a specialist in their own field, And by listening to what they have to say on different things is how you like gain knowledge on different things as well. So maybe we just have to be more listeners and we'll learn a lot more things. Lesson number 2 that I've learned from that interaction was that we have to be confident in what we know. Like, though by the time I'm meeting him, I had like years of experience in my field, but I was still, a part of me was like, I don't think I'm skilled enough to be advising the president on what to do, And I like the fact that he kind of like, I think he knows that with his reputation, with his position in ours, we might like undermine ourselves. So he was kind of like bringing us up, and so that we could be confident in say what we had to say. So that part I also liked. And I think it kind of just like told me like, you have to be confident in what you know, because like, though you think it's not very important, or you think maybe everyone knows this, it's not true. Like, there are a lot of people who know like a lot of heavy, deep stuff, but they don't know the thing that you know just because it's not their field. So just be confident in what you know, and just know that no matter how small that is, it can still be impactful in someone else's life, or it can still be like useful information to somebody else. So yeah, that was the lesson. We just have to be careful. We just have to be confident in what we know, and we share our opinions as well confidently, because yeah, we know it already. Like, it's just that. Just be confident. I can say nothing else. The next thing that I learned from that interaction is that it's okay not to know everything. And this was like a mind-blowing thing, at least for me. So from my perception, I had this perception of like, presidents know everything, like they make decisions on every area, so they know like everything, like I always assumed like presidents know like a lot of things, like I put them at this place when it comes to like knowledge and like everything else, like I don't know, I just like I don't have the word for that, but I kind of like, I'm not saying like I no longer think highly of presidents, I still think highly of them, but I think, let me just tell you a story. Okay, so while we're doing the meeting, in the middle of the meeting actually, Mr. President had a phone call, and from the way they're talking, it sounded like it was somebody from their church, and he had used a new number. So they had like a short talk, and then I was like, okay, I'll call you back later. I'm in the middle of a meeting. Cool. But because he had used a new number, so like he wanted to save that same number. Like how you save like different numbers under one name. So he also wanted to add that new number into an existing contact. But apparently, he did not know how to do that. So he had to call his PA and I'm saying he did not know because he actually said that. Like, I was like, so you namna kufanya like anataka hina, like he actually like said that. And I was like, okay, so even presidents do not know certain things. I know it's very mundane, but for me it was kind of like, and the fact that he did not know and he said it openly, publicly, without even being ashamed that he does not know, it was like a permission for me to like just be confident. Even though you don't know something, just say that I don't know this, and someone who knows will tell you how to do it, because I think there is a lot of unnecessary shame that goes out not knowing things, which is why you see like you ask someone something, they don't know what they're telling you about, they give you bluffs just so as they can sound like they know what they're talking about. But just this experience kind of like gave me the permission to be like, you know what, I don't know this, but if you want to teach me, it's okay, So I think we just have to give ourselves permission to just say like we don't know and be willing to learn, rather than just like lying and like acting like no. So that was like a good experience for me, because I was like, if a president does not know something, it's like, who am I to know everything? Because I think there's a lot of pressure, especially for like people in like mid-age, to like know everything, because you feel like when you say you don't know something, people will think you're outdated, or people will think you're too lazy, or people will think like you're not smart. But if a president does not know certain things, like who are you to know everything? So like baby girl, baby boy, whoever you are, give yourself permission to be confident in knowing like you don't know stuff. For as long as you're willing to learn, there's no problem in not knowing things. Another one that I've learned from that interaction was being a good human never goes out of style. I know, like, I think partly why that meeting was very relaxing and very like, it made us feel good for sure. I think partly why that meeting was such is just because he was just a good human and he just like wanted people to feel good around him. So I think that just never goes out of style. So I would like to say, like, no matter who you are in the society, no matter your position, no matter your financial state, no matter anything that's going on around you, just put good humanity and kindness ahead, because that goes a long way, I think, at least in my perception. I think that goes a long way. So I think most of us should invest in that as well. Just be like kind to people, because being a good human does not go out of style, you know. And last but not least was gratitude. Like, I think like I was aware of gratitude, of course, but with his interaction, I had like a different overview on like gratitude, you know, like. So with his book, for us, it was more of like, it's a presidential book. Also, like, he's very influential as well. So we were kind of like certain most of the souls that we got will be like because of who he is. But I know, like, for us, it was more like we're supposed to thank him because like he's pushing the numbers. Like, he had like good statistics. I think those were the best sales statistics that we have had in a while, because usually books stay like a year before the first stock run is sold out. But his book, the first stock was sold in like a week. Like, the stock that was supposed to last at least a year sold in a week. Like, it was that good. And for us, so the point of gratitude is that, like, despite all of that, that he's influential and all of that, but he was still like coming to us, oh, thank you so much for helping me with my book. Thank you so much for helping push the sales. Thank you so much for so and so. And I'm like, I think I'm the one who's supposed to be saying thank you, but I'll accept it. You know, and that's just like, this is a different dynamic, because I think sometimes people tend to be like boastful and be like, I'm the one who made this. I don't think I have to be grateful for that. But I think, and this is an assumption, I think for him it was more of like, though he knows that he's influential, though he knows that he is who he is, but he still was aware that these mundane jobs, or like the other jobs that we participated in that kind of like influenced the things to go out, he would not have been able to do all of it himself. And because of that, he was grateful for each and every contribution that we made in it. And I think that's the perception that we need to look in towards gratitude. So no matter how big of a part you do yourself, you also have to appreciate the little small things that everyone else did, because sometimes you might have done the big part, but without that small step that someone else assisted you to take, the thing would not have gone through, you know. So let's say you could have like written the best proposal for like grant, but you just not know the right person to give it to. And then you get someone who assists you to get someone to give the grant to. So the other person that have helped you might have done like the tiniest step, but that was the most impactful step in the whole process. So the point is just like being grateful to people around you, no matter how small they contribute to your bigger picture, you know. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you've stayed to the very end. Don't forget to subscribe and join our little community. Thank you. I love you. Bye.